Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Eurovision interview here on the channel. Today, we ain't playing around, and I do feel the fever because Remo Forrer from Switzerland is here with me today. Remo, how are you doing?
Hi everyone, good to be here. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, there is a lot of things to do, a lot of preparation for Eurovision, but it's a great journey, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. And, we'll talk about Eurovision here in a second. I mean, the main reason that we're all here together. But I did want to ask you now, people may not know that you actually have won The Voice of Switzerland back there in 2020. What would you say is probably the one thing or the greatest thing that you learned about yourself as an artist once you were participating and potentially won that contest?
Good question. So it was an amazing journey then to be part of The Voice, and yeah, I think it's also a good preparation or a good exercise for Eurovision now because you have some many things there to learn, working with cameras, working on a with professional people, and yeah, it was very cool to be in there, and yeah, it was amazing that I had the chance to win. And then it was in middle of COVID, so we had a lockdown here in Switzerland,
Hmm.
which was a big mess. So I was the winner, but I couldn't do anything. I wasn't able to play some shows. I couldn't do any interviews in person, just as we do now in online. So yeah, it was very nice. It was a big hype, but it was also a big fail. So strange times.
Hmm. Well, and it sounds like like you said, it's going to prepare you a lot for Eurovision, especially in the modern age. Because yeah, you're right. Old Eurovision, I don't like saying old Eurovision, but pre-COVID Eurovision, yeah, you'd be doing everything on in person, just sitting there on a couch, and people come to you. And if I've learned anything from being press, I mean, you're going to be on a computer, off a computer. You're going to be in a cafe. You're going to be in the press center. You're going to be bouncing all over. So.
Yeah.
You may have gotten some, like you said, like a nice little Eurovision boot camp off of off The Voice.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but speaking of Eurovision, has this always been something that you have wanted to do in your career, or is this kind of more of a more recent goal for you professionally?
Um, I know Eurovision since 7 or 8 years, I would say. So I grew up in a very how to say in a very musician family. So we did always music, and yeah, it was the dream since I was a little boy to do music in my life, and I ever did it. My father is doing Swiss folks music, so he's playing the accordion, and I was also playing the accordion when I was a kid. And then later on, I started with singing and playing piano. And I think since 2015, that was the first time when I realized Eurovision because Anna Rossinelli, who was the singer for Switzerland, she yeah did an amazing job and did amazing or is doing yeah wonderful music. So I was watching Eurovision, and since then I ever had the dream, or it was an amazing thought about to be on in Eurovision and standing on the big stage there, and that it works now is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there are a lot of people who would be interested to know. I know Switzerland's kind of selection process obviously is internal, but there's a lot of behind the scenes moving parts, which of course you know because you've gone through it. So for you, what was the selection process like, and how did you ultimately end on, or I guess end up with, Water Gun? Were there other entries that you had considered sending in, or was that kind of the only one that you wanted to go to Eurovision with?
So as you said, in Switzerland, it's not public. I think it was September last year. You have the chance in between 2 weeks to send some own songs in. I think this year 280 songs, I guess, got sent in,
Ooh.
which is a lot. And So I didn't send Watergun through because I was not the writer of it. I sent just very spontaneous 2 or 3 songs of mine which were not released yet into them, and then we got in touch with each other with SRF, Swiss Television, which is the organizer of everything, and yeah, so I had the chance also to listen to different songs which sent in from different songwriters. They just wanted to give the songs, but they aren't singers or something by themselves. So Watergun was one of them, and I listened to it and I totally fell in love with it. And I knew, okay, this would be my Eurovision song. And I had the chance to go to the studio and took or yeah doing a demo version of it, and with that demo I went into the how to say into the competition.
Hmm.
So I was with Watergun one of these 280 songs, and yeah, then similar as a casting, round after round they pick one further to the next round, and in January this year, they took the decision with the juries and the audience who's going to be the Eurovision artist for this year.
Wow. So your journey to Eurovision, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, no, no, your journey started in March when your song was released, but you've
Yeah,
been on
probably not.
almost like a 9-month journey to get
Yes,
to Liverpool."
crazy.
That is both awesome and like yeah, like you said, it's crazy. Um, well, I want to put a pin in Eurovision because I also want to kind of maybe help our listeners get to know you a little bit. There's not a lot of information out there. I did some research, and aside from your Instagram and a very short Wikipedia page, we don't know much about you. So, what would be one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you?
One thing, that's a good question. Um, I don't know. I think I'm an open book. Everything. I think there's a lot of things to know about me from social. Yeah, sure. Wikipedia is not. I think not a very big. There's not a big biography, but I don't think there is anything which would surprise everyone.
Well, in that case, then, what do you think people should know about you? We'll take that direction.
Okay, so yeah, I'm very young. I'm 21, and yeah, as I said, I did music since I was very little, and it was always a dream to do music, not just for a hobby or something, or just yeah, just in free time. I always wanted to put music in my daily routine and want just to do music, and I'm very thankful that it works now. And yeah, as we talked about, I was in The Voice 3 years ago, but I started much earlier. I think when I was 13, I started with vocal coaching. I took vocal coaching lessons for 6 or 7 years every week, and I always enjoyed it. And yeah, I always had the dream, and I always worked for it. And yeah, here I am as a Eurovision artist now.
Awesome. Talk about that success story that vocal coaching works. If you were ever doubting, I used to be a former singer. So if you are ever doubting going to that vocal coaching lesson, it
Yeah,
works. You could
it
be
worked.
Ramo.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it. Well,
Yeah.
Ramo, I think that there are some people out there who, water gun may be their only, I guess, interpretation of you and your music, or maybe they haven't made it through your own discography yet. So I wanted to ask you, as an artist, are there any genres, trends, or maybe other artists out there who you would say influence the music that you like to make?
Definitely. So I would say Ed Sheeran was one of my favorite artists, or is still one of my favorite artists. And yeah, I think he's amazing. I nearly know all songs of him. And also Luis Capaldi, James Arthur, Shawn Mendes are yeah, very lovely artists.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense because if I remember correctly, didn't you audition with a Louis Capaldi song
Yeah,
for The Voice?
yeah, true. Someone You Love.
Mm.
I think it's still one of my top three favorite songs, I would say.
Okay. It's all coming together. I'm
Yeah.
seeing the bigger picture of Ramo here. Well,
Okay.
I also wanted to ask you. I told you we'd get back to Eurovision. You posted on Instagram a couple of days ago that you're going to be joined on stage with some dancers, and of course, we know that Sasha Jean Baptiste is also going to be kind of designing or directing your staging. So I know that a lot of this information is under wraps, and I'm not going to ask you for details about the staging. But in terms of a direction, do you think we're going to see kind of like a Luca Haney direction of like high choreography and really intense? Or are we going to see more of a Marius Bear paired back staging for you with dancers around you? What are you aiming for?
Good question. So, Watergun is not a typical dance song like She Got Me was from Luca. I think um, for sure it's dancing. I also will join some movements. I won't be just stiff and standing there. I'm moving a lot. um, but it's not like, you know, like a musical, which is, oh yeah, with,
So we're not going Mamma Mia, is what you're
no,
telling me.
it won't be like Mamma Mia, but my goal was to because water guns are filled up with a lot of emotions and feelings, and I want to show those feelings with nice movements. So it will be hopefully a great performance. I'm sure it will be. I love the performance already a lot, and can't wait to show it then.
Yeah. Well, and I think anyone who's watched Eurovision for a long time now knows that Sasha knows what she's doing when it comes to a stage direction. So whenever I hear like, oh, Sasha's in charge of so and so staging, I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I know that this is going to be a very interesting package. I don't always like resonate with everything she does, so I want to put that caveat out there. You know, there have been some staging where I'm like, that might not have been how I took it,
Yeah.
but the final package, I'm like, she knows what she's doing visually, especially for high impact songs, kind of like what you have. So I trust her. I trust her with you.
Cool.
But I have one final question as we look forward to Liverpool here in a few weeks. Now, outside of rehearsals, outside of doing interviews and meeting with press, what is one thing that you want to do whilst you're in Liverpool?
What I want to do in Liverpool, so I think Liverpool is yeah, the Beatles are from Liverpool. I think there is for sure a Beatles museum or something I want to visit. Also, maybe just in the last, I would say 5 weeks, I didn't even had 1 or 2 days off. It's very busy, and it will also
Mm-hmm.
very busy until Eurovision. I love it. It's very cool to do music all the time and talk about everything. It's amazing, but I would also just love to just go in a pub and try out some typical Liverpool food things or drinks. Just have an enjoyed evening there.
I definitely understand. I have it in my big brain that when we possibly, if we get to see each other in Liverpool, that maybe I'll bring some of those things to our interview so we can try
Yeah,
them together.
please.
I'm like, just tea time with Eurovision artists sounds like a fantastic content plan in Liverpool.
Let's do
But all right, well, Ramo, I know that you said that you have a long day of interviews here ahead, so I want to wrap us on up. For everyone who is watching this interview, of course, make sure that you go and check out the semifinal performance once that is out. Also, make sure, again, that you check out Ramo's discography, check out his songs, give him some love, likes, Spotify playlists, all of that jazz, because we want to make sure that we are supporting his career, both pre, during, and after Eurovision. And if you would like to help us out here on the channel, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and that thumbs up button. That's going to help us a ton, especially as we prepare for all of our Eurovision content that's coming out here soon. But until then, and Ramo, until I hopefully see you in Liverpool, I'm going to leave us with a good old goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.